You have to understand something fundamental. There is a version of you buried deep inside that is far more capable, more disciplined, more powerful than the person you are right now. And the only thing standing between you and that version of yourself is the weak, comfortable, excuse-making identity you refuse to let go of. Every day you have a choice. Do you continue to entertain the same patterns that have kept you stagnant? Or do you make the difficult decision to evolve? Because transformation isn't a passive process, it's a war. And the enemy, the weakest parts of you that cling to old habits, fear discomfort, and settle for mediocrity. The problem is, most people have no idea what they're actually capable of because they've never been forced to find out. They've never been pushed to the edge of their limits. They've never truly committed to something so deeply that failure wasn't an option. And that's why they stay stuck. They get comfortable with their excuses, their distractions, their patterns of avoidance. They lie to themselves, saying they'll change when the timing is right, when life gets easier, when motivation strikes. But that moment never comes, does it? Because deep down, change terrifies them. The idea of letting go of who they've always been, of stepping into uncertainty, of facing their own inadequacies, it's overwhelming. So they stay.
I'm going to take you through a 7-step system for running any business. We call these the 7 forces of business mastery.
I was able to
where it's safe, never realizing that safety is the very thing suffocating them. But here's the truth. Growth isn't supposed to be comfortable. It's supposed to break you apart and force you to rebuild. It's supposed to challenge every part of you that resists discipline, rejects responsibility, and avoids hardship. And the only way to unleash your true potential is to make a deliberate, ruthless decision to kill the version of yourself that has held you back for so long. That means walking away from your bad habits, your self-imposed limitations, your dependence on external validation. It means silencing the voice in your head that tells you you're not ready, that you're not good enough, that you should wait for the perfect conditions before you take action. You don't need more time. You don't need more motivation. You need a deep, unwavering commitment to the higher version of yourself. And that commitment is forged in discipline, not feelings. You wake up and do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. You push yourself beyond what's comfortable, beyond what's familiar, beyond what's easy, because easy has never changed anyone. You train your mind to seek challenge rather than avoid it. You train your body to endure discomfort rather than run from it. You train your spirit to stand firm in the face of adversity rather than crumble under pressure. That's how you access your true potential. And understand this. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to do the work for you. No one is responsible for your transformation except you. The world doesn't owe you success, fulfillment, or happiness. Those things must be earned, and they're earned through sacrifice. You have to be willing to give up who you are today for who you could become tomorrow. And that's not an easy thing to do. It requires letting go of attachments, burning the bridges that lead back to old versions of yourself, and embracing a level of discipline most people will never have the courage to develop. But that's the cost. And the question is, are you willing to pay it? Because if you are, everything changes. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, think differently. Your presence commands respect, not because you demand it, but because you've become the kind of person who naturally earns it. Your mind sharpens, your body strengthens, your willpower solidifies. And suddenly the things that once seemed impossible, the dreams you doubted, the goals you feared, become inevitable. Not because they got easier, but because you got stronger. So stop waiting, stop hesitating, stop clinging to the parts of yourself that no longer serve you. Make the decision now, once and for all, to step into the highest version of yourself. Because on the other side of that decision is everything you've ever wanted. And the only thing standing in your way is you. There is a dangerous illusion that many people fall into, a way of thinking that strips them of their power and locks them in a cycle of stagnation. It's the victim mentality, the belief that life is unfairly happening to you, that you are merely a product of your circumstances, that your failures, your setbacks, your struggles are the fault of something or someone else. And it's seductive, isn't it? Because if you convince yourself that you're powerless, then you're no longer responsible for the condition of your life. You don't have to change. You don't have to improve. You don't have to face the discomfort of taking control. But here's the truth. Every moment you indulge in that mindset, you make yourself weaker. You strip yourself of the very thing that separates those who rise from those who fall. Accountability. The people who achieve, who build, who transform, they don't waste time blaming others. They don't waste energy complaining about what's unfair. They take full ownership of their reality, no matter how difficult, no matter how painful, no matter how much it would be easier to shift the blame. And you have to ask yourself, what kind of life do you want? Do you want to stay trapped in the same cycle? Constantly feeling like the world is against you, that your success depends on circumstances beyond your control? Or do you want to wake up every day with the understanding that no matter what has happened to you, no matter what obstacles stand in your way, you have the power to change, to grow, to build something better? Because that power exists whether you acknowledge it or not. It's just a matter of whether you're willing to claim it. And this isn't about dismissing struggle. It's not about pretending life is fair. Life isn't fair. Some people are born into better circumstances than others. Some people face greater hardships than others. That's reality. But your circumstances do not define your potential. Your response to them does. And if you choose to believe that you are helpless, if you choose to believe that you are at the mercy of your past, your environment, or the opinions of others, then you will stay exactly where you are. But the moment you decide to take responsibility, everything changes. Because now, you're no longer waiting for something external to fix your life. You're not waiting for permission, for approval, for someone to come along and make things easier. You realize that no one is coming to save you. And that realization is not despair, it's freedom. Because now, you know it's up to you. And if it's up to you, that means you have control. That means you have the ability to shape your future. But accountability isn't comfortable. It requires you to admit where you've been making excuses. It forces you to confront your weaknesses, to acknowledge where you've fallen short. And that's hard. Because the truth is, sometimes the reason you're not where you want to be isn't because of bad luck, or because life is unfair, or because someone else held you back. Sometimes it's because you didn't do the work, because you let fear dictate your decisions, because you wasted time seeking validation instead of building something meaningful. And that realization stings. But it's necessary, because until you own your failures, you cannot claim your success. And here's the paradox. When you stop blaming others, when you stop making excuses, when you take full responsibility for every aspect of your life, you don't become weaker, you become stronger. You become the kind of person who can handle adversity, who can adapt, who can take setbacks and use them as fuel rather than as reasons to quit. You develop the mindset that no matter what happens, no matter what challenges arise, you will find a way forward. And that kind of person is unstoppable. So, stop looking for someone to blame. Stop waiting for life to be fair. Stop clinging to the illusion that your struggles absolve you from responsibility. Step up, own your life, take control. Because the second you do, the second you stop making excuses and start making changes, you will realize that you were never a victim at all. You were always capable. You just had to decide to act like it. There's something lurking beneath the surface of your life, something you avoid, something you bury under distractions and excuses. It's the part of you that's afraid of failure, afraid of judgment, afraid of stepping into the unknown. It's the voice that whispers doubt into your mind, that convinces you to stay exactly where you are because venturing forward feels too risky. And so you settle into comfort. You make peace with mediocrity. You create a life that feels safe, predictable, and familiar, but deep down you know something is missing. You know you're capable of more, but you don't dare to confront what's holding you back. That's the nature of fear. It thrives in avoidance. It grows in the shadows, feeding on hesitation, gaining strength every time you choose to turn away from the difficult things in your life. And the more you avoid it, the more power it has over you. You begin to construct your life around it, making decisions based on what's least threatening rather than what's most meaningful. You tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow. I'll take the risk when I'm ready. I'll change when the time is right. But the time is never right. And as the years go by, you realize something terrifying. Your comfort has become your prison. Because comfort is deceptive. It feels good in the moment, but over time it dulls you. It strips you of your ambition, your drive, your hunger for something greater. It sedates you, keeping you in a state of passive existence rather than active living. And the worst part, it disguises itself as contentment. You convince yourself that you're fine, that you don't really need to push yourself, that it's okay to settle. But deep down, there's a gnawing sense of unease, a quiet voice reminding you that you were meant for more. And that's where the battle begins, because if you want to become something greater, if you want to break free from the limits you've placed on yourself, you have to be willing to face what you fear the most. You have to walk straight into the discomfort, into the uncertainty, into the difficult truths you've been running from. You have to stop avoiding your weaknesses and start confronting them head on. And that process, it's painful. It requires you to tear down the illusions you've built about yourself. It forces you to acknowledge where you've been falling short, to admit that you've been playing small, that you've been allowing fear to dictate your choices. But on the other side of that pain is something extraordinary. The person you were always meant to be.
And this is House of Steve, live from New York, where you never want to miss a beat.
Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward in spite of it. It's the willingness to step into the unknown, to take risks, to endure failure, and to keep going anyway. And that's where real transformation happens. Not in the moments of ease, but in the moments of struggle. Not when everything is going well, but when you're tested, when you're pushed to your limits, when you're forced to adapt, to grow, to become stronger than you were before. And the truth is, you don't even know what you're capable of until you put yourself in situations that demand more from you. You don't discover your true potential by staying comfortable. You find it when you challenge yourself, when you push through fear, when you take on things that seem impossible and realize that you're far more powerful than you ever imagined. But that version of you, it's on the other side of struggle, is on the other side of discomfort. And the only way to reach it is to stop running and start fighting. So ask yourself, what are you avoiding? What difficult truth do you need to face? What fear is holding you back from becoming who you were meant to be? Because until you confront it, it will own you. It will control you. It will dictate the course of your life. But the moment you make the choice to face it, to walk into the fire rather than away from it, everything changes. You take back your power. You break free from the chains of fear. And you step into the life that was waiting for you all along. Discipline is the foundation upon which every meaningful achievement is built. It is not talent, not luck, not motivation that separates those who succeed from those who remain stuck. It is discipline, the ability to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. The ability to push forward when every part of you wants to quit. The ability to master yourself, to control your impulses, to structure your life in a way that forces growth rather than indulges weakness. Without discipline, your potential remains just that, potential. Nothing more than an idea, a possibility that will never be realized. And the problem is, most people rely on motivation to guide them. They wait until they feel inspired, until the conditions are perfect, until there's some external force pushing them into action. But motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the tide, unpredictable and unreliable. Discipline, however, is constant. Discipline is what carries you through when motivation disappears, when life becomes difficult, when progress feels slow and frustrating. And if you don't develop it, you will always be at the mercy of your emotions, your circumstances, and your excuses. The truth is, every day you are either strengthening discipline or weakening it. Every choice you make, every action you take is either reinforcing the habits that will make you stronger or feeding the behaviors that will keep you weak. It's in the small moments, the decision to wake up early or sleep in, the choice to push through a workout or skip it, the habit of working on your goals or wasting time in distraction. None of these individual choices seem like they matter in the moment, but over time they accumulate. They shape the trajectory of your life. And before you know it, you are either on the path to mastery or on the path to regret. And the worst part is most people don't even realize they are failing. They justify their inaction. They tell themselves, I'll start tomorrow, I deserve a break, it's not that important. But every time you make an excuse, you reinforce weakness. Every time you avoid discomfort, you teach yourself to quit. And quitting becomes a habit just like anything else. But so does perseverance. So does pushing through. So does showing up day after day, regardless of how you feel. And that's the difference between those who accomplish great things and those who don't. Not some innate superiority, not better opportunities, but the simple, unshakable commitment to discipline. And if you want to build that level of discipline, you need to start with your daily habits. Not grand gestures, not massive, unsustainable changes. Just the simple, consistent, repeated actions that over time forge strength. Wake up at the same time every day. Train your body, train your mind. Read, work, improve yourself, even if just by 1% each day, because small improvements compounded over time lead to extraordinary results. But only if you are consistent, only if you refuse to let excuses dictate your behavior, only if you recognize that discipline is not something you turn on and off when it's convenient, but something you live by, something that defines who you are. And the more disciplined you become, the more freedom you have. Because when you master yourself, when you develop the ability to control your actions rather than be controlled by impulse, you gain power. Power over your time, your results, your destiny. You are no longer a slave to procrastination, to bad habits, to external circumstances. You become the kind of person who doesn't just dream, but executes. The kind of person who doesn't just talk, but delivers. The kind of person who can be relied upon, trusted, respected, not because they demand it, but because they have earned it through their actions. And that is the essence of a warrior's discipline. It's not about perfection. It's not about never failing. It's about showing up every single day and doing the work. It's about refusing to let weakness dictate your choices. It's about understanding that the path to greatness is not found in moments of inspiration, but in the hard, unglamorous, relentless effort of disciplined action. And the only question you need to ask yourself is this: will you take control of your habits, your time, your life, or will you continue to let comfort, distraction, and inconsistency hold you back? Because in the end, discipline is not just about what you do, it's about who you become. And the person you are destined to be is waiting on the other side of your excuses. There is a trap that keeps people from ever truly becoming who they are meant to be. It's subtle, insidious, and woven so deeply into human nature that most don't even realize they've fallen into it. It's the need for approval. The desperate, relentless desire to be liked, to be accepted, to be validated by others. And at first glance, it seems harmless. After all, we're social creatures. We want to belong. We want to be appreciated. But there's a cost to placing too much value on what others think, and that cost is your authenticity, your independence, your potential. Because the more you seek approval, the more you allow the world to dictate your path. You become cautious, hesitant, constantly adjusting yourself to fit expectations that were never yours to begin with. You censor your thoughts, dull your ambitions, hold yourself back from pursuing the life you truly want because you're terrified of judgment, terrified of standing alone. And so, instead of forging your own path, you follow the one that others have laid out for you, the safe, predictable, socially acceptable one. But deep down, you know something isn't right. You feel the weight of it, the slow erosion of your individuality, the creeping sense that you are living a life designed by everyone but you.
The season's best styles are here. Get dressed for every summer moment ahead. Shop the all.
And the worst part, no matter how much you chase approval, it's never enough. You can twist yourself into whatever shape the world demands. You can sacrifice your values, your voice, your dreams, but there will always be someone who disapproves, someone who criticizes, someone who tells you that you're wrong, that you should be different, that you should conform just a little bit more. And so you run in circles, exhausting yourself, trying to please people who will never be satisfied. But here's the truth. You don't need their permission. You don't need their validation. You don't need anyone to tell you that you're allowed to be who you are. The moment you stop looking outward for approval and start looking inward for direction, everything changes. You stop asking, what will they think? And start asking, what do I think? You stop worrying about fitting in and start focusing on standing out. And it's difficult because for the first time, you're truly responsible for yourself. No more hiding behind the expectations of others. No more excuses, just you facing the world as you really are. And that's frightening because the second you step away from the herd, you become a target. People will question you, they'll criticize you, they'll try to pull you back into the fold because your independence makes them uncomfortable. Your courage forces them to confront their own fears, their own compromises, their own failure to live authentically. And instead of facing that reality, they'd rather drag you down, but that is the price of carving your own path. And if you want to be more than just another anonymous, replaceable piece of the machine, you have to be willing to pay it. And this doesn't mean ignoring wisdom or rejecting every piece of feedback. It doesn't mean being arrogant, reckless, or refusing to learn. It means knowing the difference between constructive criticism and pointless noise. It means filtering out the opinions that don't serve you, that aren't based on truth, but on conformity and fear. It means understanding that real respect, real influence, real success doesn't come from being universally liked. It comes from standing firm in who you are, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's unpopular, even when you have to stand alone. And here's the paradox. When you stop seeking approval, when you stop bending to the will of others, when you take ownership of your path, something incredible happens. The right people, the ones who respect authenticity, who admire strength, who value independence, begin to take notice. You attract the kind of people who support growth, not limitation. And suddenly, the approval you once chased doesn't matter anymore because you built something far more valuable, self-respect. So stop waiting for the world to tell you who you should be. Stop looking for permission to pursue what you know is right. Stop living as a watered-down version of yourself just to make others comfortable. Because the people who change the world, the ones who achieve the extraordinary, the ones who live with purpose and passion, are not the ones who spent their lives trying to be liked. They are the ones who decided that being real was far more important than being accepted. There's a version of you, one that is stronger, wiser, more disciplined, more capable. One that stands tall, unshaken by fear, undistracted by triviality, unwilling to settle for mediocrity. That version of you exists, but it isn't given. It isn't handed over by luck or circumstance. It must be earned. It must be built with intention, with effort, with sacrifice. And the greatest tragedy, most people never reach it. Not because they aren't capable, but because they refuse to commit. They settle for who they are today, for the path of least resistance, for the comfort of staying the same. They make excuses. They tell themselves they'll improve someday when life is easier, when the time is right, but the time is never right. There is never a perfect moment. There is only now. And the choices you make in this moment determine whether you move forward or remain stagnant. If you truly want to unleash your potential, you must take full responsibility for your growth. You must hold yourself to a higher standard, not just in fleeting moments of inspiration, but in the daily grind, in the habits you build, in the discipline you cultivate. You must choose progress over comfort, purpose over distraction, resilience over self-pity. And that choice isn't made once. It's made every single day, in every action, in every decision. It's not an easy road. It requires discomfort. It requires stepping into the unknown, taking risks, facing failure. But what's the alternative? A life spent wondering what could have been, a future filled with regret, knowing you had more to give but lacked the courage to give it. That is a far greater suffering than the struggle of self-improvement. You already know what you need to do. The question is whether you will do it, whether you will rise above the version of yourself that clings to ease and excuses, or whether you will finally commit completely to the person you were meant to become. Because your higher self isn't waiting for you in the distance. It is forged in the fire of your decisions, here and now. The choice has always been yours. You can remain where you are, bound by fear, weakened by comfort, shackled by the need for approval, or you can rise. You can kill the weak version of yourself, the one that clings to excuses and mediocrity, and step into the life you were meant to live. But make no mistake, transformation is not easy. It requires sacrifice. It demands discipline. It forces you to confront your demons, to abandon the parts of yourself that hold you back, to walk a path that few have the courage to take. But what is the alternative? A life of regret? A slow descent into bitterness as you watch your potential waste away? The pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of staying the same lasts a lifetime. And deep down, you know this. You know you were made for more. You know there is strength within you that has yet to be unleashed. You know the person you could become if only you were willing to do what is necessary. So stop waiting, stop hesitating, stop seeking permission. The battle is yours to fight, and no one else can fight it for you. Kill the version of yourself that clings to weakness and step fully into the person you were destined to be. The world does not need another person lost in mediocrity. It needs warriors, leaders, individuals willing to forge their own path. Be one of them. Stand up, take ownership, commit. Because the life you want, the future you dream of, is on the other side of who you refuse to be any longer.